I really had the impression that going back to keto was going to be a little bit of a hiccup. I was not realizing how huge of a pain it was going to be. Hello, Honesters. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm Pat. So we did a 1 month carnivore challenge, if you guys remember, a couple weeks ago. We did 1 month. I reintroduced some carbs after the first month, but you decided to go a second month. You wanted to be really careful with the order and the amount of carbs you wanted to introduce. How did you do it? What was your plan?
Actually, the funny thing is I think I did it backwards, but my goal was to do olives first, then avocado a week later, and then our Friday meal like about 5 to 6 days later, because I kind of felt by that point I'd probably be fine. My biggest fear was the first reintroduction. I was nervous that I would, like, just knowing now that my gut didn't have the right microbes to process this stuff, I was nervous I would be either running to the bathroom or gassy or that kind of stuff. So what we did, I did olives first, and I did a normal serving, which is about 3 servings, 4 servings
And
of
it's
olives,
not a lot of,
and that's which is not a lot of olives. I think it's 12 olives.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of gram of carbs. I think we calculated it at 2 or 3 carbs. Like, it's really little amount.
Yeah, so it's not a lot. This is where I think I made the mistake, because it's not a lot of carbs. So I thought, it's gonna be fine. I'm doing 3 or 4 grams of carbs for my entire day. I was mistaken.
Okay, so then, how did it go?
I hadn't taken into consideration something that I learned recently. I was only looking at the total amount of carbohydrate. I wasn't looking at what kind of carbohydrate it was. So the interesting thing that I noticed was, bathroom wise, I actually didn't feel too bad on, so I ate the olives on Monday and at supper time, which for me is around 8-ish. And on Monday, I did go to the bathroom that same day, which is, again, not typical when you're eating just meat.
That was not the worst.
It wasn't horrible. It was a normal, I went to the bathroom. The following day, I did go to the bathroom again. Not a lot, but I did go. So, and it was not urgent, or just normal. Okay.
So no cramps, no
cramps, no gassiness, no.
Okay.
So I was actually quite happy with that. The next day was, though, where I started to notice that I did wake up with some joint not feeling great, which, again, I predicted. I'm eating 3 grams of carb when I haven't had much carb in quite some time. Oh, by the way, just to make it realistic, I also had cheese in that meal, because I had been having cheese. So I wanted to have enough, I wanted to have carb on top of any carb that I was already having. So I had my normal serving of cheese, which I believe is 1 to 2 grams of carb. And then I had 4 grams of carb, 3 grams of carb. So I had 4 grams of carb altogether. What was surprising, I ended up getting gout. And it was a pretty bad attack, and not in the foot I was normally getting gout in before. I got it in my left foot, which normally I was getting it in my right way back when. Here's the thing that I realized that I didn't pay enough attention to. Dr. Berry, if you remember, recently I put up a video where he talked about how fructose has 7 times the glycation of glucose. And the part that I hadn't clicked in my head is that I was so scared about gassiness. I was so scared about diarrhea. I wasn't thinking about glycation. If we understand what a gout attack is, it's a buildup of uric acid in your joints. And why would you have buildup of uric acid? Because I'm retaining water, and I'm having fluids in there, and I'm having inflammation in there. And then, of course, uric acid is an antioxidant that we make. So what I hadn't calculated was that the worst thing that was going to happen to me wasn't that I don't have the microbes that eat the fruit, but it's more that if it's 7 times the glycation, I'm going to have inflammation. And it's what happened. So the Monday, I woke up and I was feeling a little ache.
Whoa. Hold on a minute. Future patent valid here. I think there's a problem with your timeline, because you said you ate the olives Monday night and waking up Monday morning and feeling bad. What really happened?
Okay, so I kind of messed up my timeline. So let me try again. On Monday night,
Hmm.
I had olives for the first time. And I woke up Tuesday morning feeling slightly achy. In the afternoon/evening, I got a headache.
Okay.
And the headache kind of stayed with me. I thought I was just hungry. That happens to me sometimes. But the headache turned into a full-blown migraine. Even after I had supper, I still had the headache. He called me. I was already in bed. That doesn't usually happen. I woke up the next day, Wednesday. My headache was gone. I was still achy. And the achiness, especially I noticed my right hip, like that was kind of there. It wasn't excruciating. I was able to sit and whatever, but I did notice certain steps I would take. If I stepped the wrong way, like I was feeling it. My leg cramps also came back. So I hadn't had leg cramps for like the last few weeks after Carnivore kind of settled and everything was feeling. The achy and the cramps were there till Saturday. During the day on Saturday, I had to go shopping. I was in the store talking to the salesperson, like making my purchase, and cramps hit both feet. Not one, both feet. You can imagine the predicament that I was in. So quickly, thank goodness I had just finished paying. The dude helped me to put the item in the back of my car. He went away. I got in the car. I was like freaking out. My feet were killing me. The weird part was that it didn't go away on my left foot. So the right foot, eventually I was able to shake it off and it stopped bothering me. I don't keep salt in my car. I need to start keeping salt in my car. But I didn't have any salt. So by the time I got home, my left foot, the cramp had stopped, but when I got on my car and started to walk, I realized my toe was hurt. So that joint in your big toe was hurting. Sincerely, by the very next day, I had upgraded this to full-blown gout. Like I realized I had gout in my foot. And it stayed with me in a very painful way. So Sunday was horrific. And then Monday, when I woke up, it was starting to be better. Like maybe 2 hours before it was supper time, my foot felt better.
So it didn't last long. Like, but this it was like painful, but lasted like Saturday and Sunday, the gout situation. So
yeah. So
that's
Saturday
so
evening, I was still thinking it was just a cramp that was bugging me, like that. But I realized it was gout the next day when I could barely move. I couldn't move my toe. I couldn't put pressure on it. It was horrific. I don't know if you guys have ever had gout. I mean, I know you know what I'm talking about, but if you've never, oh man, I was like, not a happy person.
Okay, so now you have it like the real story. Let's go back to the feature presentation.
And then it was Monday, and what was I supposed to do? I was supposed to eat more.
Olives.
You can just imagine that I just barely got away from the gout attack, and my foot was finally feeling back to normal. Like it was hurting in the morning. Now we're just before supper, and I'm feeling better. And I'm looking at my plate, and I'm saying, "Am I really putting olives on my plate again?" Which is the plan. What do you think I did? I'll give you a few seconds. Put it in the comments. I put the damn olives on my plate. This is what I do for you guys. I put the olives on my plate, and I was fine.
Yeah, because the second week you didn't have any of the gout was gone. Bathroom was back to normal.
Everything was fine.
Your little gut biome was back to normal.
Can I just tell you how scared I was the next morning? But everything was fine. I woke up the next morning. I sent him a message. I'm still okay. And then Friday, which is 2 days ago, we were supposed to have our Greek meal with a salad and olives. So I had that meal. I'm still fine. The salad comes with olives. So I did have salad and olives, but that's the normal meal. That's the way I would normally eat it. And cheese. It has all that in it. So we're waiting to see next week, Monday. So not tomorrow, but the one after. I'm going to have avocado. And we're going to see if there's any other kind of reaction. Now, I really doubt it because I've already reintroduced the fructose back into my system. And I'm going to make sure I don't have too much avocado. But it makes me nervous now because
half an avocado,
I probably, you know what, wellness warriors, I know myself. I'm probably not. I want to, if I'm going to have a reaction, I'm probably, but I want to see what's going to happen if I have my typical serving. Am I going to have a reaction? And if I have the reaction, I'll be very sad. But that, science, right? I know it's N of 1, but still, it's important for me to be able to report back what really did happen because this is what people really do. right? And this is, we talked about this a little bit in the last video. This is why I was struggling. This is why sometimes I would be gassy and other times I wouldn't, because when we eat together and you're putting different vegetables in front of me, I'm not paying attention to the fact that it's been weeks since I've had that, right? And when I say weeks, I mean, it could be 2-3 months because we don't eat together at your place enough for me to get those vegetables. I feel like that's huge for us to understand, right? And even for your experiment, like you went a month, you didn't go 2 months without having that salad. What would have happened to you had you gone the 2 months or even 3,
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
you know, like,
But at the
I
same
feel-
time, I chose something like you said. The salad is like probably
but you had olives in it.
Zero fructose. Oh yeah, you're right.
You had
Yeah,
olives,
yeah,
you
yeah,
had,
you're
and you
right. It
had
was
both
like
servings.
Two olives and
Yeah,
white
well, you
balls.
had 2
Yeah.
and then you had another 2. So
Yeah, there was some tomatoes in it.
and you
forgot
had
about
tomatoes
those.
and
Yeah, you're
so
right.
like I don't believe that it's I think it was just because it was close enough that you had still
Yeah.
not gotten that all out of your system yet, because that's the other thing for us to understand, right? Our body doesn't just change. It takes time to work out all of these things, right? And so think about it like, you know, when you haven't drank for a long time, like, and how long does it take for that to happen? If I skip a weekend or 2, I can still go back and like be holding my own. But if I skip like 3 or 4 or 5 months and I try to go back, it's not the same, right? And we see that now because we hardly drink. And then when we go drink, it's like, whoa, like
glass
one
of
drink.
wine.
Yeah, one glass of wine and like, you know, I'm a lightweight now, right? And that's okay. It's just we have to understand that that's what's happening. If I were to go back and try to have 3 drinks, like what I was able to do 4 years ago, I'm probably going to be sleeping before I get home. So I think it's important for us to understand that it's an adaptation when we're talking about this idea of metabolic flexibility. I'm not trying to be your doctor. I'm just saying that my experience with trying carnivore put something in my face that I feel like I've read about because Dr. Gundry talks about it. I will link his book below. Dr. Hyman talks about it. I will link his book below. This idea that our body, our microbiome is what helps us to digest vegetation. That's really important when it comes to like what microorganisms are doing. And I feel like we listen to people online who tell us, oh, you can go back and forth and we're shifting quickly back and forth, thinking that, well, actually, if you shift quickly, you're going to be okay. It's people who are doing what I did. People who will do 2 or 3 months without touching asparagus and then not understand why asparagus is kicking my butt. Right? Now, if I was eating asparagus monthly, I probably would be okay. Right? Every 3 weeks, for sure, I would be okay. But every 2 to 3 months, I have some asparagus. That's not helping me at all. I don't know what's going to happen. You see, the restaurant that I'm really worried about is the Korean barbecue restaurant. Because those things I haven't had in more than 2 months now. And I don't know what my tummy is going to do with those things. So far, lettuce was fine.
Lettuce was fine. As far for that restaurant, you're having the kimchi and the cucumbers that you put. But at the same time, we're fine. Like
Maybe mushrooms. Sometimes I would have that.
mushrooms, yeah. My next question: you're reintroducing to give the information to Wellness Warriors, but are you going to reintroduce because like avocados? Like we said that we didn't miss it really. So I think like whenever you come to my place now, there's not going to be any vegetables or unless I do make a Caesar salad. But like I said, and I still stand on that. I'm not gonna go like put the extra effort now on putting vegetables on the table, except for my boys have some raw vegetables that they like.
See, that's part of where I'm pointing out to you. I don't go to extra effort. Like avocado is easy for me.
Okay.
Olives are easy for me. And when we go to the restaurant, it's on the table. So I don't actually go to extra effort to get any of these things, except that I have to put it in my cart at the store. And what you also will notice, and this is where I come back to, for how I was living before, having a carnivore day, or the carnivore days that I was having, it was 3 on 4, keto versus carnivore. And the thing that I'm realizing now is that that's just keto. I'm just eating keto. Like whether I put some carb on my plate today or some veg on my plate today or not does not change the fact that my microbiome is situated for keto. Right? So calling, like, say I have a carnivore day. Yeah, I didn't eat any veg today is really what I should be saying. But I'm keto because my microbiome is set up for keto. And I feel like this is where we kind of get ourselves into this trouble of thinking that we have metabolic flexibility. And I mean, so yes, I have metabolic flexibility, but at the same time, it's like that's not what that means. Because my ability to eat veg today and not tomorrow, and that's too quick. It's too quick, right? I think what we're really trying to say is that I'm not forcing myself to eat veg.
Yeah.
That's 100%. Do I? And I've always said it. I just want every wellness way. I want you to understand this. I've always said it. I've never hidden this. When I put veg on my plate, it's for fun. It's part of the reason I don't put that much, because I don't need that much fun in my meal. Right? If I have a few olives, I'm fine. If I have some salad, I'm fine. If I have some avocado, I'm fine. If I have nothing, I'm fine. Like whatever I decide to do there, I'm fine. Will I keep eating those things? Sure, probably, because that's just the way I was eating before. I tried carnivore because I was curious. I tried carnivore because I wanted to see what would happen to me. I tried carnivore because I wanted to see would I feel better. I felt the same. I felt good.
Okay.
I didn't feel. I mean, don't get me wrong, it has solidified the fact that I do not need tomatoes or peppers, or which are things that harm me anyways, right? So I feel like all it's done is put me in that position where I could see that the things that I would sometimes allow into my meals, like we had pizza yesterday, and instead of putting a tomato sauce, we put pesto. Because I was like, what else could I put there besides tomatoes? I don't want the tomatoes. Which is, I guess, another thing we introduced. I've just realized right now as I'm saying it, I introduced some pesto, although. So, and funny enough, I feel fine. Wow, I just realized that because it wasn't part of my experiment plan, but I just realized that I introduced something yesterday, and today I woke up and I felt fine. I feel like that initial of putting the fructose back is what was the big deal. And now I feel kind of backed up, but I'm still going to tell you what happened with the avocado, as I'm not 100% sure. But I think I should be fine.
You should be fine. I think so. You didn't feel different enough on carnivore to really stick to carnivore and completely out any vegetables like ever.
It's twofold. I didn't feel bad on keto to make me feel like I need to be carnivore.
Okay.
And I didn't feel better on carnivore than I was feeling on, well, I mean, after the adaptation, let's be clear.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I started keto, I had an adaptation. So like in both cases, I had an adaptation to go through. But I didn't feel like so much better carnivore that I was like, oh, I have to keep doing this. What I will say, the one positive that I know will allow me to keep having days where I don't eat any veg, so I'll still call them carnivore days, but we know this, I'm keto. But the reason that I know I will keep having days where I don't eat any veg, it's so much easier for Violet. I'm lazy like that. I just am. And knowing that I can just come in, make some meat, sit down, eat that, and I'm happy, I'm going to keep doing that. That's a no-brainer for me. Like, the easier I can make my kitchen time, the shorter I can make the kitchen time.
Yeah.
If I can figure out a way to be full without even being in the kitchen, you know I'm going to, without it being processed food. Can't be processed food.
Good enough.
I'm actually trying to get a chef to be there 24/7, but it's not working out for me yet.
Carnivore was fun for me. Like, if you never tried it, like, try it. It's something that you actually will maybe discover new kind of meat, new proteins to eat. Like, that's what I did.
Because it was fun, and I think for both of us, what made it fun was speed in the kitchen. I don't chase variety, so that didn't matter to me. It was really how quickly can I get in and out, eat something delicious, and be done. I feel like the thing that I want people to think about, because this is important, if you do this for a long period of time and then decide to reintroduce those carbohydrates, those veg, you are going to feel something. When I reintroduce stuff and it hits my joints, I know right away that I've done something. I've made a mistake. If I have too much carb, I know it right away. If you don't have Violet syndrome, you might not figure that out, right? You might feel kind of okay, but we need to keep in mind, it's not just carbohydrate, it's changing in amounts. It's my body reacting. I feel like the funny thing that I learned here is that my body actually reacted. I didn't think that it would have that big of a reaction, but inflammation was deployed for 3 stupid grams of carb. That fructose made a huge difference, right? So when I go long periods of time without eating any fruits and vegetables, and then I decide, oh, I'm just gonna imagine those people that, oh, I'm just gonna have one apple, or I'm just gonna have a banana. It's like it's one time, not realizing that you're throwing a bunch of fructose at your body. And even if you don't have violet syndrome and you don't have that big boof in your foot, like you probably still had some kind of reaction, just didn't hit you as hard as mine. It's important to understand that. And sometimes you're just going to see a little rise in weight and you're not going to think anything of it. But that matters. It all matters, right? So I want people to learn from what happened to me, right? You don't need to have violet syndrome. I have it. I'm telling you what happened. Okay? Learn from what happened to me. And for those of you who have violet syndrome or any other quick reaction, can you put it in the comments below? Have you ever gone a very long period of time without eating a specific vegetable, and then when you ate it, noticed a reaction? I would love to hear from you guys if that's ever happened. I'm sure I'm not the only person that this has happened to. A vegetable or a fruit, for that matter. Let us know.
Yeah, or a cake, or a cheat meal, or whatever. Like even if it's like.
Well, I think that's more obvious, but okay. But the reason I'm curious about vegetables and fruits because we don't think about that.
You don't think,
right? Like I'm sure. I mean, if you've had it happen with cake or a cookie, put that too. But I'm curious about the people who had it happen from
healthy
from
food.
healthy,
From healthy food.
Because honestly, asparagus. Come on, it's healthy. It's low in carb. It's. I'm glad I did this experiment, guys, and it's not over. I will tell you what happens with avocado. But I'm glad I did this because I think it's valuable information that we can all learn from and then pay more attention and see if we're having that reaction. There's a video on the screen right there talking about fructose and why we don't encourage people to eat it.
Yeah, if you like the video, please smash that like button.
I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Healthy Moments with Violet Pat Chat Edition.
Talk to you next week.
Can't wait to talk to you guys again next week.